Morning guys, Isle of Man Douglas, the Isle of Man Steam Railway. Yeah, I'm just here now. The train is due at 11:50, so we're waiting for the engine to come in. Not here at the moment, as you can see. But yeah, it's going to be a great little trip. This is taking us over to Port Erin on the western side of the Isle of Man in about an hour. Total duration time about an hour. So yeah, come with me for the trip, and I'll see you on the train, shall I? Okay, so the station building at Douglas is a very interesting terminus, I think, with the very grand arched main entrance situated here on the corner of Peel Road and Atoll Street. Now, when you descend the steps, you get a good view of the extensive station frontage. Now, these existing red brick buildings were constructed between 1887 and 1913 and replaced earlier wooden structures erected when the line itself opened back in 1873. Right in front of you, with the iron and glass canopy, was, and still is, the main booking hall. But these days it also houses a restaurant and a small waiting room. The large building to its left was originally the railway's admin offices, with refreshment rooms and separate ladies' waiting rooms and toilets on the ground floor. This is presently the island's custom house. Now, I'm sure you can go through one of the doors at the front here, but I ended up walking down this alleyway to the left between the booking office and the custom house, which brought me to not a very railway-like sight at all, really. I believe this area housed the original platforms for the line over to Port Erin, but sadly they were demolished in the late 1970s, and yet, like most things in life, were replaced by a rather large car park for the nearby Tesco's supermarket. Anyway, it does make the station more accessible, I guess, but yeah, diverting my eyes, I made my way along the walkway towards the existing platforms and a bunch of expectant passengers that were all gathered here because nobody was allowed to go onto the platform. Well, before long, a member of staff did arrive and checked our tickets, and then we made our way towards the train. Thank you very much. Although there were a rake of carriages to the left of our island platform here, our train would be departing from further down on the right. The consist from the rear began with a guard's van, F49, with luggage storage that also incorporated seating for 24 passengers. Then there were two further compartment carriages, F47 and F46, with seating for 48 and 40 passengers respectively. All carriages in service on the Isle of Man Steam Railway are original and painted with the classic red and cream livery. Our rolling stock today was built between 1913 and 1926. There were two first-class compartments towards the front of the train, but we boarded the middle carriage, and yeah, like most other British people, we crossed our fingers that the train wouldn't be so busy that we'd have to share it with some other random strangers. I walked back up the platform to watch our locomotive arrive, the beautiful Maitland No. 11, built in 1905 by the Bayer, Peacock and Company of Manchester. This engine had been undergoing restoration since 2007 and only returned back to service this season, 2022. Beautiful, isn't he? Is it a he? Let me know what you think. I reckon so, because the loco is named after Dalrymple Maitland, a former Speaker of the House of Keys, which I guess is the Isle of Man's equivalent to the House of Commons back in the UK. Anyway, I quickly made my way back to my seat and we were ready to depart. The guard blew his whistle. There was a quick blast of recognition from the engine, and we were off, departing Douglas with the added bonus, well for me anyway, of the sight of many double-decker buses parked up in one of the island's bus depots, and also the headquarters of the bus company, Bus Vannin. And we passed the lovely old signal box at the end of the platform, dating back to 1892. The box was originally located where the bus depot now stands, but whilst it looks very nice, it no longer controls any signals. the old frame being replaced by a small panel in the station master's office instead. So inside our third class compartment, we have a large light in the middle of the arched wooden roof here with an air vent next to it. There are doors on each side with windows that are lowered and positioned into place with a leather strap in the traditional way. The bench seats themselves are covered in a very comfortable red patterned fabric and are designed to seat 4 passengers each. For me, well, I spent most of the time looking out the window, to be honest. Okay, you get your hair covered in soot, but there's nothing like the smell of steam, is there? And the sound of the train as it makes its way along the tracks. In this case, a 3-foot gauge track. Just fantastic, isn't it? The length of the line is 15.5 miles long and it's entirely single track, although there are a few passing loops along the way, such as here at Port Erin, which is the first station we come to, at about 3 miles west of Douglas. Now of course this heritage railway is all that's left of what used to be a much more extensive network on the Isle, over 46 miles of track in total. As well as the South Line to Port Erin that we're travelling on today, there was also the Peel line between Douglas and, well, Peel, and the North line between Ramsey and St John's, and the shorter-lived Foxdale line which branched off from St John's over to Foxdale. Sadly, all 3 of these lines were closed by the early 70s and the track lifted in 1975. We're just coming into Castletown now, which is the busiest of the intermediate stations on the line. Look at the fantastic goods shed here, built in 1902. And yeah, Castletown itself is well worth a visit, being dominated, as the name would suggest, by the impressive Castle Rushen down by the harbour side. It's also not too far away from Ronaldsway Airport, although the airport itself does have its own rather basic halt a little bit further down the line. It is also at this point in the journey that we meet the eastbound service that utilises the passing loop and the other platform at the station. After they've left, we were able to get on our way again, passing the beautiful grey limestone station building as we do so. We pass through some fairly uneventful countryside at this point, which gives me an opportunity to tell you all about how much we paid to ride this and all the other heritage transport options available on the Isle. Well, when we arrived at Ronaldsway Airport, the first thing we did was buy an Isle of Man Go Explore card from the Tourist Information Desk. And this basically enables unlimited travel on all the heritage railways and trams and the extensive bus network. In fact, the first thing we did use it for was to get the bus from the airport to the hotel. Now the card itself costs £2 and then it's just a case of deciding how long you're going to use it for. 1, 3, 5 or 7 days. We opted for 5 days, which cost £41 per adult, and yeah, overall I think it was pretty good value for money. Now I've popped a table of the costs up here and there's also a link to the website in the description to this video. Another level crossing brings us into Port St Mary with some very extensive station buildings on display here. You could be mistaken for thinking that this was the line's terminus, and we are indeed only about a mile away from our destination. But Port St Mary was apparently in great demand as a tourist hotspot back in the late 1900s. Note as we pass that the station's canopy has been bricked up for some reason and now features some very ugly windows and doors. A bit of a sad sight, I think, personally. Well, we finally arrived at Port Erin and its single platform. Yeah, it was quite busy really, this train, and at the time of our visit was running 4 services a day, every couple of hours each way. Now in the summer you can get up to 6 or 7 trains a day. It was good to see here that there are a couple of official guides greeting passengers and handing out information about the town. Maitland had uncoupled himself by this point and was having a quick rest by the buffers before running back round and getting ready to take his coaches all the way back to Douglas. I waved goodbye and Anna went to have a look inside the station itself, which houses a rather nice cafe, a gift shop and a small railway museum. They also had a real fire going, which was very welcome on this fairly cold day. I had a wander around the museum for a bit and then I walked down to the lovely beach, from where I took a minute to sum up the journey experience. Okay guys, that was the Isle of Man Steam Railway all the way from Douglas to Port Erin, which is where I'm at now, just on the beach. It's a lovely little place, so I think it's well worth a trip on that. It's about an hour, takes about an hour. So yeah, when you get here it is literally 2 or 3 minutes walk down to the beach. So yeah, I'm going to have a bit of a wander around here for a bit. There looks like there's plenty to see. It's a little bit cold, but it's October at the end of the day, isn't it? It's going to be a bit cold. I'll see you on another adventure soon. Thank you very much for watching this one, and as always guys, cheers for now.